I am going to talk about Gandhi as a journalist. Historians have presented Gandhi as a political activist, a social reformer, a religious thinker, and a writer. Gandhi's biographer and grandson, Rajmohan Gandhi, says Gandhi was many things, but above all, he was a journalist. But Gandhi maintained that journalism was not his profession and that he was only writing to communicate his thoughts to his readers. Gandhi was arrested on March 10, 1922, on the charge that he was attempting to create discontent against the government through the articles he wrote in Young India. When he was asked about his profession in the court, he declared that he was a farmer and a weaver. As we know, Gandhi was a journalist for over 5 decades and continued to write until his last days. Although Gandhi did not see himself as a journalist, Rajmohan Gandhi believes that his role as a journalist was much more significant than the other roles he played. There has been a worldwide debate in recent years about functions and dysfunctions of journalism as a profession. There are questions about threats to media freedom. There are also questions about to what extent media serve the public interest. Media are also being criticized for moving away from the core values of journalism and indulging in sensationalism, propaganda, and in telling half truths and blatant lies. In this context, it is important to reflect on Gandhi's experiments in journalism. Gandhi's long association with journalism began when he started writing a series of articles for the journal Vegetarian in 1891. He was then a student in England. He wrote 6 articles titled Indian Vegetarians, which not only dealt with food but also about Indian social traditions, caste system, child marriage, and the family system. He was aware of the problems with those traditions. He described alcoholism as an evil of the British rule, an enemy of mankind, and a curse of civilization. Soon after coming to South Africa in 1893, Gandhi began to write letters and articles in South African newspapers. He later felt the need for a regular newspaper to mobilize public opinion and to influence official decisions. He wanted to educate the European community about the plight of the Indian immigrants. Severe restrictions had been imposed on all Indian immigrants, including a mandatory identity card, warrantless search, seizure, and arrest. The exploitation of Indian indentured workers was so severe that suicide rate had increased. The first issue of the Indian Opinion appeared on June 4, 1903. His formal training in the profession of journalism began with this paper. The Indian Opinion played a significant role in fostering the idea of one united Indian community and national identity among the Indians in South Africa. Uniting people who were divided by religion, caste, class, and language was not an easy task. The journal emerged as the voice of the Indians who were demanding civil rights. As Gandhi moved from petitioning the authorities to direct forms of protest, the newspaper also changed. In his autobiography, which is titled My Experiments with the Truth, Gandhi says Satyagraha would not have been possible without Indian opinion. He said, week after week, I poured out my soul in its columns and expounded the principles and practice of Satyagraha as I understood it. I cannot recall a word in these articles set down without thought or deliberation, or a word of conscious exaggeration, or anything merely to please. Indeed, the journal became, for me, training in self restraint, and for friends, a medium through which to keep in touch with my thoughts. The newspaper was devoid of any exaggeration. Every word he wrote was carefully chosen. It was in this paper that the term Satyagraha came to be used for the first time. He felt that the term passive resistance was not appropriate for the struggle of the Indians and that it did not symbolize his concept of resistance. He asked his readers to suggest a suitable word for passive resistance. The word Sadagraha, which came as a suggestion, was modified as Satyagraha. The word Satyagraha became a symbol of resistance built on truth, love, and non-violence. All those struggles Gandhi carried on in South Africa were closely linked to the newspaper. After Gandhi's return to India, his son Manilal Gandhi continued to bring out Indian opinion for the next 36 years. The focus of the newspaper shifted from rights of the Indians to human rights. It was not a big newspaper in terms of circulation. The average circulation of the newspaper was 2000 and it never crossed 3500 in any year. But the contents the paper carried and the ideas and values the newspaper upheld throughout its history made a massive impact. After his return to India, Gandhi edited Navjivan, Young India, and Harijan. One of the responsibilities of a newspaper is understood to be speaking truth to power. But for Gandhi, there was no need for a newspaper to make his views known to the government. He needed a newspaper to communicate with the people. His newspapers were in the vanguard of political and social movements. He wanted all nationalist newspapers to educate the public so that they took part in social reform and freedom struggle. Journalism for him was a tool to explore all aspects of human nature. His own articles accounted for nearly 75% of the content in his newspapers. When he was arrested in 1922, the circulation of Navjivan, which was 21,500, came down to just 3,000. Readers bought his paper mainly to read what he had written. It was more a views paper than a newspaper. He was a prolific writer and wrote an average of 500 words a day. Many of Gandhi's key political ideas have been expressed in his newspaper articles. Although Gandhi was vehemently opposed to restrictions on press freedom, he emphasized responsibility. In the very first page of his book, Hind Swaraj, which is in the form of a dialogue between an editor and a reader, Gandhi spelled out the objectives of a newspaper. I quote, one of the objects of a newspaper is to understand the popular feeling and give expression to it. Another, to rouse among the people certain desirable sentiments. And the third is to fearlessly express popular defects. Gandhi had been a journalist for over 6 years when he wrote Hind Swaraj. It was serialized in the Indian Opinion before it was published as a book. What he had said in 1909 is still relevant in the context of the media today. The media are expected to show courage and commitment in exposing popular defects. Lack of such courage among the media is highly visible today. Writing in the first issue of Navajivan, Gandhi said he would not hesitate to tell the truth, but at the same time would not forget decency. He said he wouldn't use irresponsible statements and unnecessary adjectives because truth did not need any embellishment. He expected the Navajivan to promote friendship and trust between the rulers and citizens and unity between Hindus and Muslims. Building brotherhood and harmony between communities is an essential responsibility of a newspaper. For him, newspapers were not just carriers of news, but tools with which the pulse of the people could be understood. When Inoba Bhave was given, when Vinoba Bhave was carrying on an anti-war campaign in 1940, a notice was issued to newspapers not to give publicity to his speeches or his movement. All newspapers were asked to submit their reports about the anti war campaign to the chief press advisor in Delhi for approval. In protest against such an order, Gandhi decided to stop the publication of his newspapers. He called upon the people to become moving newspapers. Of course, he warned that rumors should not be spread. Gandhi said only those journalists who are not satisfied with telling the truth resort to using their newspapers for their personal gains. Creating awareness among the people should be the real goal of a newspaper, not filling their heads with undesirable content. Gandhi exhorted editors that it was a sin to hide the truth. Press freedom and responsibility were equally important for him. Gandhi's newspapers were an open forum for debate. Two of the leaders who questioned Gandhi's philosophy and beliefs were Tagore and Ambedkar. The debate among the three throws a lot of light on the political and social problems in India and ways to address them. Gandhi and Tagore were engaged in a debate about non cooperation, satyagraha, charaka, boycott of foreign goods, education, and superstition. The debate took place through newspapers and letters. While Tagore wrote in Modern Review, Gandhi wrote in Young India. Modern Review was a magazine with a nationalist outlook edited by Ramananda Chatterjee. Despite being strong diverging views, there was mutual respect. Gandhi addressed Tagore as Gurudev and Tagore addressed Gandhi as Mahatma. While Tagore fully supported Gandhi in his struggle against untouchability, he opposed Gandhi's defense of the Varna system. This debate introduces readers to the philosophical positions of the two great men on some key issues concerning India and the world. Gandhi brought out Harijan in 1933 through Harijan Sevaka Sangh, which had been established with the objective of eradicating untouchability. In the first issue of the Harijan paper, Gandhi wrote about how the title Harijan was chosen. It was not a word coined by Gandhi. When several reporters objected to the use of the term Asprishya in Navajivan, Gandhi asked them to suggest a better word. The reporters suggested that the term Harijan be used in place of Asprishya. The word Harijan had been used by poet saint Narsin Mehta, who believed that irrespective of caste, class, and gender, all were subjects of God Hari. Both Tagore and Ambedkar can be seen in the very first issue of Harijan. On the front page of the newspaper, Tagore's translation of Satyendranath Dutt's poem Scavenger as the cleanser appear. The poem is about untouchability and begins with the line, why do they shun your touch, my friend, and call you unclean? Gandhi asked Ambedkar to send a message for insertion in the first issue of Harijan. Ambedkar refused to send a message saying that Hindus would not treat his message with respect. He sent a statement instead. Ambedkar wrote, the outcast is a byproduct of the caste system. There will be outcasts as long as there are castes. Nothing can emancipate the outcast except the destruction of the caste system. Nothing can help to save Hindus and ensure their survival in the coming struggle except the struggle of the Hindu faith, except the purging of the Hindu faith of this odious and vicious dogma. This is what Ambedkar wrote to Gandhi. Gandhi carried Ambedkar's letter and the statement along with his response. Gandhi said, Dr. Ambedkar is bitter. He has every reason to feel so. Outside India, he is received with honor and affection. But in India, among Hindus, At every step, he is reminded that he is one of the outcasts of Hindu society. It is nothing to his shame, for he has done no wrong to Hindu society. This is the caste Hindu's shame. Gandhi was very critical of how Ambedkar had been treated by the caste Hindus. Ambedkar was of the firm belief that untouchability would not go as long as the caste system remained. But Gandhi, at that point of time, believed that if inequalities between castes were removed, there would be no untouchability. They differed on the origin of untouchability and the ways to eradicate it. We must note here that Gandhi's views on caste changed over time. On July 7, 1946, Gandhi wrote in Harijan, I would persuade all caste Hindu girls coming under my influence to select Harijan husbands. Gandhi's pronouncements like this angered the Hindu right. But the reality today is that untouchability and inequality among the castes are still in practice. We have failed both Gandhi and Ambedkar. When an earthquake struck Bihar on January 15, 1934, Gandhi said that it was God's retribution for the practice of untouchability in Bihar. Tagore sent a strongly worded letter rejecting Gandhi's opinion as unscientific, and he expressed his anguish about the possibility of a majority of the people believing in what Gandhi said. The Harijan issue, dated February 16, 1934, carried the full text of Tagore's statement and also Gandhi's response, titled Superstition versus Faith, in which Gandhi defended his statement on Bihar. Gandhi received criticism of his newspapers positively. He admitted that he was unable to run the newspapers as expected and was unable to give good articles. Running Navjeevan was a massive challenge for him. Only a few months after the publication of the new newspaper, some readers wrote without their names and address that the paper was becoming an orphan and that it was sinking. Although Gandhi published the letters without editing or shortening their content, he insisted that the letter writers give their names and addresses. He argued that no letters about serious issues should be anonymous and people should show courage to reveal their identities. For Gandhi, the newspapers were the voice of the people, not just the voice of the editor. He was aware of the fact that the newspapers could be used by the capitalists to promote their personal interests. Gandhi's journalism had three kinds of effects. The first was that it provided impetus to the growth of language journalism in India. The second was that it made newspapers pay attention to news about villages and rural life. The third was that it inspired writers to make rural life central to their novels. Gandhi wanted newspapers to be in the language that common people spoke. He wanted news and articles translated into Indian languages. Navjeevan, which was in Gujarati language, had 10 times more readers than Young India. That many farmers and workers read his Navjeevan was a matter of great pride for him. It is important to note here that the Indian opinion, which he brought out in South Africa, carried articles in Gujarati, Hindi, and Tamil besides English. He wanted to reach different sections of the Indian community in South Africa. When he launched Navjeevan, he asked, for whom should I write in English? He knew he was not reaching the common people with his English newspaper. When a Parsi journalist asked a question to Gandhi in English, he answered in Gujarati and suggested to him to speak in Gujarati. He did not like writing in English, but he was of the view that English could be used as a linked language until Hindustani became the lingua franca of India. A reporter once suggested that to promote Indian language newspapers, the English edition of Young India be closed down. Gandhi was not opposed to the suggestion. He decided to bring out Harijan only in Gujarati and Hindi, but he received bundles of letters from abroad asking him to continue to write in English. They had said that his writings would make a significant contribution to literature. Under pressure from his readers, Gandhi started writing in English once again. By liberally using Sanskrit and Persian, Gandhi created an effective and simple language. His writings influenced many journalists and writers. Mulkraj Anand was one of the prominent Indian writers in English who came under the influence of Gandhi. Mulkraj Anand submitted the draft of his novel Untouchable to Gandhi at Sabarmati Ashram and asked for his opinion. The character of the protagonist in the novel, Baka, was inspired by the story of a sweeper boy Uka. The story had appeared in Young India. Gandhi, who felt that the protagonist Baka spoke like a Bloomsbury intellectual using high sounding words, told Mulkraj Anand that the people of the oppressed communities in India only grieve, mourn, groan, sigh, and suffer, but they do not speak the kind of language Baka speaks. On Gandhi's suggestion, Anand revised the novel and reduced its length by 100 pages. While addressing a Gujarati literary conference in 1936, Gandhi asked the question, whom should a journalist write for? For intellectuals or common people? He preferred simple, uncomplicated language to scholarly language. This is reflected in all his writings. Gandhi is known for his rejection of advertising as a source of revenue. Advertising has been the major source of revenue for the media throughout the world. But too much dependence on advertising revenue takes away the freedom of the editor. Advertisers' interest takes precedence over the public interest. We must note here that in the early years of the Indian opinion, some pages, including the first and last pages, contained advertisements. One advertisement said, Cigar Diwan just arrived, finest cigarettes to suit all smoking connoisseurs. It must have been really an embarrassing moment for him to carry those advertisements because he had been speaking against smoking and alcoholism from his student days. In September 1912, he announced that there would be no more advertisements in his newspaper. To be truly an independent voice, a newspaper should be free from advertising. But he would not oppose publishing advertisements in times of crisis and unavoidable situations. When he was unable to send either money or workers to help his son Manilal Gandhi to run Indian opinion in South Africa, he did permit advertisements. When Gandhi took over the editorship of Young India and shifted it to Ahmedabad from Mumbai, the first thing he did was to stop the publication of advertisements. Young India used to carry advertisements for soaps, furniture, jewelry, books, and other goods. He wrote about how even those editors who did not smoke and consume alcohol allowed their advertisements in their newspapers. That they allowed advertisements much against their will was a very disturbing thing to Gandhi. Uh, Advertising, according to him, would reduce quality in journalism. Gandhi wanted a, Gandhi wanted an editor of a newspaper to have complete control over not only editorial content but also over advertisements. When Gandhi launched the Swadeshi movement, some people asked him to publish advertisements of goods made in India, but he refused to do so, saying that it would take the attention of the editor away from journalism. The newspapers should be supported only by their readers through subscription and donations, otherwise, they would not be free to decide their content. Even today, some newspapers do not carry advertisements. Kannada Weekly Lankesh Patrike was one such publication that showed that newspapers could be successfully run without advertisements. In liberal democracies, a newspaper may be free from government control, but it is controlled uh, by the big corporations that pump in crores of rupees as advertising revenue. In all the political and social movements he was involved in, newspapers played a vital role. He defended the freedom of expression, but at the same time insisted on using that freedom with responsibility. The media today seem to have lost their editorial independence and content diversity. This poses a serious threat to the very existence of democracy. Some media have remained independent against all odds. The model of journalistic practice he provided is relevant today as it was a century ago. I thank the Prasaranga, the publication division of Govimp University, for providing me this opportunity. Thank you.